What's up, and welcome back to Retro Heat Kicks with your boy Skinny Hardaway, Esquire. Once again, just want to say thank you all to those who are new subscribers who have been subscribing and watching the videos and checking them out. I definitely appreciate you all. I'm grinding. This is the road towards 10 subscribers. We're going to just start, what I'm saying? Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither will Retro Heat Check. We're just going to keep grinding one day at a time. Try to keep giving you the best of old school NBA talk and the best of old school sneaker talk. Just wanted to just say thank you once again to everybody who supported, who's supporting and supported me. Definitely stepping out, and this is a big step for me. So just continue to, stick with me, stay patient with me, and we'll get there. We'll get there. We'll get to where we need to be. But thank you. Definitely appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. But no sneaker talk today. We're going to take a break from the sneaker talk. I was just having a discussion earlier, man. It really, you know what I'm saying? It really is getting on my nerves because the narrative has gone too far. It's just gone on too far, too long. It's too egregious. It's like I just got to the point where I was like, all right, bro. I had to, you know what I'm saying? It's like, all right, bro. No. Like in the narrative that was discussed was pretty much what I'm going to talk about briefly. And this whole notion that Michael Jordan didn't play against anybody, that he didn't play against, some of the best players in NBA history, and that he's somehow played against nothing but firemen and plumbers and janitors and you know what I'm saying, mailmen and milkmen, all this stuff, you know what I'm saying? That's just like, come on, bro. It's like, if you really break it down and really look at it, Michael Jordan's career through the 80s, through the 90s, into the early 2000s, this man went up against some of the best and greatest players the game has ever seen. And it's funny because, so many people, just want to just down the errors of the past, you know what I'm saying, especially a lot of these young boys, these fanboys, they just come through and they just have this notion that their era is just the greatest and everything else in the past is obsolete and whack and it never, you know what I'm saying, it'll never be as great, as today's players. They bigger, they stronger, they faster. And it's like, man, it's like if you're a real hoop head, if you've really seen, you know what I'm saying, multiple eras of NBA basketball, you can definitely look at today's era. And no matter how hard you try to root for these guys, it's like it is not the same. You do not have the same energy. You don't have the same feeling, the same emotions. Hell, it's like it's there's no life in this NBA today, and it's terrible. It's terrible that so many people are blinded by blinded by their emotions and just instead of just actually looking and sitting down and just watching the games. I mean, that's what YouTube is for. You know what I'm saying? Just pull up an old game and just sit down and watch it. You can definitely tell the difference between yesterday's hoops and today's hoops, because it's quite frankly today this is an embarrassment. Like I said, man, these guys, they just want to get paid. They just want to date whatever rapper, whatever actor, whatever former athletes leftovers. They want to be seen. They want to be seen outside. They don't want to be seen on the court. They don't want to be seen, you know what I'm saying? They don't want to be seen giving they all. They don't want to be seen in the gym. They want to be seen on the gram. They want to be seen on their podcast. You know what I'm saying? They want to do everything but, you know what I'm saying, give back to the game that's given them so much. And we as fans have quite frankly been cheated. And the most egregious thing of today that bothers me the most is that these young fans, these fans that just don't know and just don't care about the one, the only Michael Jeffrey Jordan, and just the simple disrespect that he's been getting, and it boggles the mind. It's like, how are you dissing the man and you wear his sneakers? It's like you wear the sneakers. I don't even see you in them big clunky LeBrons. You know what I'm saying? I got a couple pair of LeBrons, but quite frankly, they sit in boxes, man. They sit in boxes. I actually given away a couple pairs. It's just like LeBron James is like it's terrible. And you know what I'm saying? Being a guy from Ohio and actually seen him on the rise, it's just like it's very disheartening to see where he started and to see, you know what I'm saying, where he's at today. And it's just like it feels like, you know, it, it's it's like your expectations were just crushed. You know what I'm saying? You realize that, you know what I'm saying, as the years going on. But anyways, we ain't talking about that. That would be for another day. That would be for another day. That would definitely be for another day. But as far as MJ playing against scrubs, it's like I don't understand how you could sit up here and say that Michael Jordan played against scrubs. I mean, shoot, we just break it down by the numbers. Let's just break it down by the numbers. We're going to take the NBA's top 50 and the NBA's top 75. And if you look at those lists from the NBA top 50, 30, my bad, 30 out of the 50, that's 40%. 40% of the NBA's top 50 has gone head to head with Michael Jordan. Guys like Magic, Bird, you know the usual, Isaiah Thomas, Kevin McHale, Robert Parrish. You got guys like Charles Barkley, Moses Malone, Dr. J. You know what I'm saying? That's just the early 80s. That's just the early mid 80s. You know, then in the 90s you got guys like Stockton, Malone, Olajuwon, you know what I'm saying? Drexler. You got guys, Pippen was right beside him, Dominique Wilkins in the top 75. There's so many guys that were there back then in those days that Michael Jordan came across. And if you look at the top 75, that bleeds into the today, well, not today's era, but the early 2000s, where you had guys like Allen Iverson, the late great Kobe Bryant, Tim Duncan, Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, guys like Ray Allen, guys like that, and for people to not even know that Michael Jordan went up against so many different people, it's like the numbers is right there. The facts are right there. And that's not even needless to say the guys back in those days like Kevin Johnson. You had guys like Penny Hardaway, my personal favorite player growing up. Penny Hardaway, Gary Payton, Sean Kemp, Larry Johnson, Alonzo Mourning, Dikembe Mutombo, you know what I'm saying? Rick Smits, Antoine Walker. So many guys, a plethora of guys, it's like it goes on and on and on. Dan Marley, people be dissing Dan Marley. It's like when they say that he is a plumber, it's like when they say plumber, they always, it's like, it seems like Dan Marley's image is always there. And it just always used to boggle my mind. I was like, did they not know that Dan Marley was an all-star player? Did they not know that Dan Marley was one of the best shooters, inside, outside guys in the NBA? They called him Thunder Dan Marley, not because he was just cool and white and he shot threes. Nah, he would go down in the paint and bang on you too when he was in his young days in Phoenix. You know what I'm saying? And when he came to my Miami Heat later on in his career, I was just as hyped, because I knew that we had a solid veteran that had a jump shot and was tough, played defense, like these are the type of players that MJ had to go up against. That same Dan Marley, Michael Jordan faced him in the NBA Finals. He was part of that vaunted 1993, Phoenix Suns team that had Barkley, Kevin Johnson, Frank Johnson, Cedric Sabalas, Richard Dumas. You had Mark West. Man, it's just Mark West. Who else did they have? Man, they had boy, it's just way too many dudes, man. It's way too many dudes. but I'm freezing. It's like I'm freezing up, but it's like I could just see all these names like AC Green. You know what I'm saying? It was just like they just came in waves. They just came in waves. The players that they had, and you had guys like that were team guys like Dan Marley and teams like the Phoenix Suns that really gave Michael Jordan trouble. Because these teams were deep. Teams stayed together for years, and they cultivated different cultures around the league. You could tell what kind of player you was getting or what kind of player you was on that roster, depending on what team that you was on. If you was a New York Knicks, yeah, you was going to be hard nosed, tough. You're going to be rough around the edges. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna be, what I'm saying, a timely defensive team. And with a great offensive pivot man, big man, in Patrick Ewing. You had teams like say the Indiana Pacers out east. They were a super hard working team. They would go all out for Reggie. They set all the picks in the world. If you was going down trying to chase after Reggie Miller and having to go through the Davis boys and Rick Smits, you was in for a tough night, and you was gonna have some bumps and bruises. You know what I'm saying? To going out to the West Coast, you had like teams like the Supersonics that had Gary Payton, Sean Kemp. Then they had guys like Detlef Schrempf, Sam Perkins. You had Nate McMillan. I mean, they had squads, man. They had squads back then, and even like the quote unquote scrub teams, like the New Jersey Nets. They had Derek Coleman, Kenny Anderson, the late great Drazen Petrovic. I mean, and they were considered the scrubs. They were considered the scrubs. Even the Clippers had Danny Manning at one point. Danny Manning, Mark Jackson, and Ron Harper all at one point in time playing together, and they were also considered a scrub team. But they give you the business. You know what I'm saying? They were not sleep up. There were not step overs, no stepping stones, no guys that you could sleep on. You know what I'm saying? A lot of greatness, lots of different all-star players that have come and gone throughout his career. A lot of guys that they may not have been in the top 50, may not have made it to the top 75. But these are guys that guys my age and older, they'll never forget, because they played a style of basketball. They played a brand of basketball that you could not forget about. I mean, it's like the talent level. They may not look like today's athletes. They may not all be 6'10" that could shoot a 3-pointer. But guess what? They did have players like that back in those days, like that little shrimp who was 6'10" with the strap. You had Sam Perkins, about 6'11" with the strap. Tony Kukoc, 6'10", could hit from three. You know what I'm saying? Shoot, heck, Hakeem Olajuwon, there was nowhere on the court for real that he could not hit a jumper from. I mean, his range for a center was beyond the norm at that time. Shoot, Arvydas Sabonis, before he gained weight and had injuries, so Arvydas Sabonis was he was what Jokic is today, a big man that had court vision, could shoot. You know what I'm saying? The ultimate playmaker from the pivot post position. You know what I'm saying? And this was a guy who came to the NBA late because he had to fulfill his duties over in Russia. And I mean, there was a plethora of talent that has gone through the NBA that in talented teams that will be ignored by today's NBA fan, but will never be forgotten by those who love the game. Because when we loved the game back then, when we was watching the games, I mean, you literally could almost name from the top of your head who's starting five. If you know what I'm saying, who was the starting five of the Orlando Magic? You know what I'm saying? Back in, who was the, you know what I'm saying, back in 94, 95. You know what I'm saying? You got Penny, Nick Anderson, Dennis Scott, Horace Grant, Shaquille O'Neal. Probably at that time, in my opinion, the best starting five in the NBA. You know what I'm saying? But that was just an example of just just the type of talented teams and talents that went through the NBA. You got guys like Mitch Richmond, who was Michael Jordan's, direct competition because he was also a shooting guard. And not a lot of people don't understand that he was that guy. He was that guy when he was a part of Run TMC in Golden State alongside Tim Hardaway and Chris Mullin, one of the best scorers in the league. Will give you 20 plus a night. No problem. His game was so efficient. He could go inside, outside, play defense, strong. You know what I'm saying? He was one of those type of guys. I remember back in the days, Pat Riley was going crazy because he wanted him down in Miami, but it never worked out. But Pat Riley at that time, man, he was really trying to get Mitch Richmond out of Sacramento because he was that dude. He wasn't as physically gifted as a Michael Jordan. No. It's kind of hard to it's kind of hard to compete with those skills and those gifts. You know what I'm saying? Nobody has those, to be honest. But Mitch Richmond was a super talent. You had guys like Rod Strickland, you know what I'm saying, a small guard. He was the Kyrie of the 90s. He was that dude with that crazy with the crazy handle and could finish with either hand, drop you off, hit the pull up jumper, have you stumbling, your girlfriend looking at you crazy, your kids looking at you crazy. That was Rod Strickland. I mean, he was like he was one of those few dudes that, he could play right now, and he would give you a show. He'd put on a show, and you would definitely have to give him his you know what I'm saying, his just due, because he was really that great. And you had guys like Grant Hill. Oh my goodness, young Grant Hill into Detroit, 33, coming down the lane. Give your whole team the business. Dunk on your whole squad. Pull up from 15 to 18 feet, no problem. You know what I'm saying? Could hit the three, go baseline. You know what I'm saying? Play defense. One of the best defenders in the league. You know what I'm saying? And despite the injuries, still made it to the Hall of Fame. Despite all that, you know what I'm saying? It was so much talent, so many guys that fall by the wayside today that Michael Jordan played against, man. And it's like, if you guys would just sit down and just look and just, you know what I'm saying, just take time to just watch the videos, you see talent all over. Sean Kemp, you can't you couldn't don't stand underneath the rim when the Rain Man's coming, because he's gonna boom on your head. He's gonna do a little shimmy. He's gonna do a little dance. He's gonna talk to you. He's gonna point at you. He's gonna make sure that you know that you got banged on. That's the type of passion that the 90s had. That's the type of athletes that the 90s had. If the super athlete didn't come in today's game, the super athlete has always been there. Michael Jordan himself was a super athlete. Come on, bruh. 48 plus inch vertical. I say plus because there are some plays, man, I'm like, bruh, that ain't no 48-inch vertical. And the man ran a 4.3 with hands the size, I mean, alien type hands. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure most of y'all seen that Voyager video where he's palming a whole pumpkin, and not just one of them little baby pumpkins, like your standard size pumpkin. Palmed it with no problem. I mean, the Super Freaks was always in the league. David Robinson, I mean, ran like a gazelle, looked like a young Giannis, looked like Giannis. He was Giannis before Giannis. He was that dude, but guess what? Unlike Giannis, though, put David Robinson on that block and he'll put you in a blender. He'll put you in that blender, back to the basket, give you that little bump, 2, 3, bump, turn around, short hook, turn around, up and under, turn around, just bang on you. Like David Robinson, two-way player, come down and then race right down the court and block your shot, no problem. I mean, there were so many super freak athletes. And if you want to talk about the little men, the little guys like Rod Strickland, let's not forget Isaiah Thomas, man. Even though he retired in the early 90s, excuse me, during his day, he was the quintessential little man. I think that he's the best little guard in NBA history because he has done what no little guard has done, and that was lead his team to not one but 2 NBA championships in a row. You had to be a freakishly fast point guard with lightning dribbles, with lightning dribbling skills, timely footwork, a clutch gene, toughness, even to the point where it was borderline criminal because he was out there mugging guys. Let's not sleep. Let's not sleep. He was the ringleader of the bad boys. He and Bill Lambier. And Bill Lambier is another guy, although not talented, although not freaky, although none of that. He was a sucker, and I hated him, and I still hate him to this day. As far as an NBA player, not as a person, because I don't know him personally. But although he wasn't the best athlete, but he was elite with the mind games. His mind game was his mental game was elite, and he knew how to get you out your game. He knew how to flip the switch. So they were super. He may not have been super freaks, but they also were super smart. These were some of the most cerebral players that you could ever see. You had Bill Lambier have your whole team ready to fight him as he's walking off smiling, knowing that he just got your best player out of his element. The only player that he could not get out of his element, the only thing it did was just make him mad. And that was MJ. But everybody else, and Larry Bird, because Larry Bird gave him the beats too. But Bill Lambier, though, for his props, I do give him his props because he's one of the most cerebral players to ever come through. You know what I'm saying? He was great in his own right because of his mindset, because of the way that he knew how to manipulate the refs, manipulate, the defense, manipulate your offense. You know what I'm saying? It was just, you know what I'm saying, even though the bad boy tactics were not the greatest and nobody ever was a fan, outside of Detroit, no one was even a fan of that. No, I don't think anybody ever was. But you had to respect Bill Lambier's gamesmanship. You had to respect his mind. You had to respect the fact that there was no apologies. There was no qualifiers. There was no, well, guess what? No, this is what it is. And you're going to deal with it one way or the other. You're going to either win or you're going to lose. You're going to beat it or you're not. But, so many freaky players, so many, the Dominique Wilkins, you know what I'm saying? He's gone, you know what I'm saying? He's gone up against Dominique. He's gone up against Clyde Drexler. You know what I'm saying? He's gone up against Penny Hardaway. He's gone up against Mitch Richmond, Reggie Miller. You know what I'm saying? Reggie Miller, the freakishly, you know what I'm saying? The first, I would say of the NBA marksmen that I could think of. You know what I'm saying? He alongside Larry Bird that really weaponized the 3-point line. I think what Larry Bird had started, I think Reggie was able to, you know what I'm saying, to add on to it. I think there was an explosion when Ray Allen got there, and then it was just an atomic bomb by the time Steph Curry came into the league. So, you know what I'm saying, you gotta give these players props. I could go on and on and on and on and on about the players from Jordan's time in the league that you know what I'm saying, that would never qualify as a plumber or never qualify as a janitor or a fireman. And it's so disrespectful that players of today would even look back at the players that helped forge the league as to what it is today, and to give just to give them such blatant disrespect. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, that's just another reason. That's just another reason among many why I, along with most NBA fans of today, don't even mess with this product. This product is trash. This product is trash. Disrespectful, entitled players, disrespectful, entitled fans that don't even bother to go back in time and to go back and look how basketball was played. One thing before I go, one thing about the 90s growing up that was almost a staple outside of jerseys and sneakers was Slam Magazine. Slam Magazine was the Bible of 90s basketball. If you was a young kid, you know what I'm saying, if you was young teenager, young kid, and you was crazy about the NBA, Slam was the magazine that you had to have. And one thing about Slam Magazine that I always loved and I always respected, and it gave me a thirst and a hunger for even more basketball knowledge, because they always took time to interview a throwback old school player. You know what I'm saying? They always would highlight a player from way back in the day. And they would let you know that, hey man, you better respect this dude. This dude is the reason why you're enjoying the game today. And I was able to soak up, what I'm saying, all that knowledge. I was able to, what I'm saying, look up players even further. If and in some cases, was able to see some of their film, and always came back thoroughly impressed and with a newfound respect, and with another nugget of knowledge added into my mind as a young NBA fan. And it's like, what I'm saying, when you see these players, and it's like, what I'm saying, you see these players on TV, you see their names being brought up, or you see their records being broken, you're like, man, I know that dude. I read about that dude. He's a dog. You know what I'm saying? You see the film, it's like, man, he's a dog. We respected those players. We never called them old. We never called them played out. We called them legends. We called them Hall of Famers. We called them greats. Today's players, today's fans, and today's players, they want to call them plumbers. They want to call them firemen, janitors, garbage men. You know what I'm saying? It's like, how dare you? These guys are the ones, you're standing on their shoulders and you dissing them. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's such a disheartening, what I'm saying, just a disheartening thing. But like I said, we ain't gonna talk about no sneakers today. Maybe on the next episode we can get back to the sneaker talk. But I just wanted to just have a little mini rant about that, because I'm just so sick of that. I'm just so sick of hearing about people dissing Michael Jordan's competition, dissing the 80s and the 90s, and even the early 2000s, as if it was some like dinosaur league or something like that, man. The 90s was the zenith of the league, man. The 90s had the world in the palm of its hand. The NBA had the world in the palm of its hand in the 90s. You know what I'm saying? It literally had a global explosion. You know what I'm saying? And to see today's fans just disrespect and spit on that, man, it's just disheartening. And you all should be ashamed of yourselves. And I hope anytime that you have these conversations, I hope everybody flames you every time that you open your mouth, because you sound like an idiot. And guess what? You really do look like an idiot, especially when you disrespect those that are great. But anyways, man, it's your boy Skinny Hardaway. And this is Retro Heat Check signing out. But before I go, you already know. Like, share, subscribe, and wear your sneakers, man. Peace.